Welcome to my kitchen today. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make my mother's famous coconut raisin tea biscuits. I've tried to make them many times and I can never get them to come out right. So I took a little extra care today. I called her and confirmed the recipe with her, and for some reason they came out perfect today. So if you want to follow along, I'll show you exactly how I did it. So I got everything measured out here. We're going to start with 3 cups of flour. That's all-purpose flour. 1 cup of granulated white sugar, just your regular old sugar. Next we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt. Doesn't seem like very much, but it's enough. Next thing we're going to add is 4 teaspoons of baking powder. I asked her if that was leveled off teaspoons and she said no, so I didn't level off the teaspoons and I added a little bit for good luck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and an extra little tiny bit. So this is where I got a little bit confused. Normally you would rub that through and you would add your butter or your lard or whatever if you're making any kind of pastry and get it crumbly, and then add your additives. I think that may be where I was going wrong before. That's what I did before. So I'm just going to mix that all together. Make sure it's all well mixed there. Next I'm going to add the coconut. That's 1 cup of coconut. Mix that through good. And next about 1.5 cups of raisins. She said 1 cup to 1.5 cups. We like the raisins on the heavy side, so that's what we did. So just give that a mix now. Get all the raisins coated. Okay. So I got about 1/2 cup of butter here. So we're just going to break that up in little pieces. Just going to start pinching that with my thumbs now to get the little bits of butter coated with flour. It is a little weird doing that with the coconut and the raisins in the flour already. Normally I wouldn't do that. So starting to come together nicely there. Still quite a few big lumps of butter in there, but you just keep rubbing and squeezing the flour between your fingers, and eventually you'll get all the big lumps of butter out and you'll be left with little small flour coated buttery pieces. So next thing we have to do now is get our wet ingredients together. The first thing we're going to do is open up a can of evaporated milk. Usually punch 2 holes in that sucker, but we're going to use the whole thing. Might as well take the whole top off it. Just dump it in the measuring jug there. Next thing we're going to add is some vanilla. It calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I only have a little tiny bit left in my bottle, so I'm just going to go with whatever's in the bottle. Next thing we need is a couple tablespoons of lemon juice. So we're just going to give that a stir now to get the lemon juice and vanilla and the milk all incorporated together. The lemon juice, I think, sours the milk a little bit and makes it a little bit thicker. So now we're going to empty the jug of milk and vanilla and lemon juice into the dry mixture. Just give it a little stir before you add it in, and scrape out your jug to get as much of that out of there as you can. Just going to give it a mix now and get it all mixed together. You don't want to overwork this. That's the trick to it, I think, is not to overwork it. We're not using our hands in it, and we're just going to give it a stir around until most of the liquid gets absorbed. I guess the coconut absorbs quite a bit of that liquid. So now I'm just going to put down a generous amount of flour onto my baking mat, and I'm going to empty this bowl of mixture out onto that flour. It's very, very wet and it's a little bit difficult to work with. It will stick to your hands pretty easily. So I'm just going to scrape all that out now, and then I'm going to give it a little pat, add a little bit more flour. So we're just going to try to keep it in a round circular state. I didn't really want to stick my hand down in my flour, but I really don't have a choice. Just going to add a little bit to the top of it so that I can pat it down with my hands without sticking. So my mom said that I should roll it out to about 1 inch thick, but I really don't want to roll that. I have my rolling pin there at the ready, but I didn't feel it was necessary. I just gave it a little pat with my hand, and it was about 1 inch thick. It might have been a little less than 1 inch. So I patted it out until it took up most of the 12-inch circle on my baking mat. Try not to handle it too much. My hands are pretty cold as it is, so the heat of my hands shouldn't have any effect on the dough. So I got a little measuring cup there, and I put a bit of flour in it, and I got a little juice glass. And I'm just going to start cutting circles now with the juice glass and putting them on my baking sheet. You can see how sticky that dough is. Just going to start lifting them over now. They would fall apart really, really easily if you handle them very much. So, quick as I can get them over there, the better. So I'm just going to continue on cutting circles until I get through all that dough. Just about through it now. I'm going to start rearranging those buns on the baking sheet to make a bit more room. Give me a few more than I expected. Shove them over a little bit. I'm not going to get a lot more out of the rest of the dough, but I'll get a few. These will rise quite a bit, and they'll spread out a little bit, so when they're cut they'll be more like a square than a circle when they're finished baking. So I'm just going to push all that dough back together again. I don't want to handle it too much because I don't want my biscuits to be tough. So that should do it. Add a bit more flour to the top of it and cut some more. Make sure they're about the same thickness as they were before. And here we go. We got a couple more cuts. So I'm just going to push the rest of that dough together now. I should get a couple more. I think 2 more. That's 1. And definitely another one. Maybe a little tiny one. Oh, maybe 2 more. See how they're split on the top, but that doesn't matter because when they bake they'll go together. Here we go, 1 more, and the little scrap, I can ball that up for a little mini. So now that we got all our biscuits cut out, we need to put these in a preheated 375-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. I ended up leaving mine in for about 23 minutes. They started to get really brown on the bottom and I didn't want any burnt spots, so I took them out after 23 minutes and they came out perfect. So this is what the final product looked like. Delicious with a little bit of butter. Served them hot right out of the oven and a cup of tea. Nothing in the world like it. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you'll try making these buns. They're really easy to make. You just got to be a little bit careful about your handling of them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment and let us know where you're watching from. And if you like my videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. We're very new and it will really help us out a lot. Thanks for watching.